Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1999 Toyota Altezza RS200. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline-4, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video here today because the Altezza is something very interesting. Here in the United States, we got this vehicle as the Lexus IS300. And while it looks the same and the interior is going to be pretty much the same, it actually couldn't be more of a different driving automobile. And so today we're going to dig into why that is, why this was different for the different markets, and all of the beauty and glory of that beams under the hood. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to Nomad Imports here in Flint, Michigan for allowing me to borrow their Altezza for today's video. Please go browse their inventory with the link down in the description below. They have tons of really cool and interesting JDM imports. But let's get back to that beams motor under the hood, the 2.0 liter. Well, here in the States, we got the 3-liter 2JZ NA engine. That was a big, heavy 6-cylinder. In Japan, they didn't get that option, and there's two reasons for it. The very small, minuscule reason is the fact that they're actually taxed the bigger an engine is, so you actually saved, I don't know, like $1 a month or something like that. But the bigger reason is that it made a more balanced vehicle. The 2JZ is very heavy and the beams motor is very light. It's a lot more rev happy. And so they were able to get that 50-50 weight distribution a lot closer to the mark because that engine is a lot lighter up front. Now, it is a beams motor and it likes to rev to about 7,800. So I think it's my job to show you what that's like. And I can't say no. Not the best shift. All of the fun, it's not a very loud car, so you're probably not hearing the exhaust. All of the fun is up at the top. Driving this car around town is terrible. It's boring, it's awful, and it's gutless. But once you start to get to about 5, then it starts speaking with its chest. That's when it starts to get up there. Now again, it isn't quite that big guttural punch that the 2JZ offered. Honestly, us Americans, we probably prefer that 2JZ, and that's why they did it, you know? They wanted to compete with like BMWs, and those always had traditional 6-cylinders. So to compete in a luxury market with the Lexus IS300, they needed that bigger engine, more torque, and that more premium driving feel. This feels kind of like a Honda Civic, but it's a lot more nimble. You can kind of chuck this car a lot better than you can with the 2JZ. This feels a lot more like a tuner car rather than a luxury sedan. So that's the distinguishing qualities. And you gotta love that 7,800 RPM red line. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual. Again, this is different than what we got in the States. In the States, we either had a 4-speed automatic or a 5-speed manual. This is the 6-speed, so it's a lot more engaging, a lot more user input, I should say. It's a lot more tunability in the way that you drive. So that was a big distinguishing factor as well. But however, like our homegrown IS300, this is of course also rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Altezza besides that engine, that buzziness, that smaller displacement 4-cylinder? Well, it's actually a decently nice ride. It's not like super plush and comfortable, and in this, it makes a lot more sense that this was marketed as a Toyota. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that, one of which being Lexus didn't even exist in Japan until the mid-2000s. So every vehicle that we got as a Lexus was sold as a Toyota overseas. But it does just feel a little bit less premium than the 2J USDM cars were. So, something to note. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because in front of me, I have one of my favorite gauge clusters of any car. This is shared with the American IS300. I love it. It looks like a watch. I also do get Altezza on the steering wheel. You will not find a Toyota badge on this car. Originally, the grille would have had that. This is an aftermarket grille, but besides that, there's no Toyota anywhere. It says Altezza everywhere you look. Off to the right, you have a climate control vent, some coin holders. And moving under the door, you have power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, you do get a little pop-up infotainment display. Now, unfortunately, this screen has stopped working, but very, very cool, and we'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. 2 climate vents and our climate controls with the hazard switch, digital clock, all the necessities here. We do have our logic control cassette player, audio control, power, volume, and our standard AM/FM radio. Unfortunately, because it is a JDM car, it does not receive American market channels, which is a shame, but something to think about when you do buy a JDM car. We have traction control off and snow mode down below, then a cigarette lighter, an ashtray, and our shifter for that beautiful 6-speed, and it does have the pattern to the right. Now, something interesting about this is when you do put it into reverse, because it is where first would normally be, or a little bit further than that, there actually is a beeper, and I'll show it here. Then we have the handbrake, and this is to control that infotainment display. I had to translate this, and it basically just says like menu, back, forward, all those things. But this in 1999 is huge technology that we didn't even see until the mid-2000s or even 2010s in some vehicles. So very, very nice to see that here, again, in 99. However, throughout all of this, we don't have any cup holders. So, unfortunately, the Altezza fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we get the seats. The seats are pretty standard. They are cloth. Again, you know, you'd think Lexus IS300, you want that leather. No, these were just cloth, regular, basic Toyota seats. And again, I sort of like that feeling. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 1999 Toyota Altezza, and a couple of things to note. First of all, I love the fabric back here. Not only does the fabric carry on with these seats, but the floor material, the floor mat, very Japanese, very well done, very like subtle, but still pretty. And that's a nice thing to see. The space isn't great. However, I do have to say the USDM IS300 didn't have a great backseat space. The modern, brand new Lexus IS500 with the big old V8 does not have a great backseat. So that has been a common theme throughout these vehicles. It's never been a focus or emphasis on any of these vehicles, so it's standard stuff. I'm not mad about it. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk in case you care, and then we'll talk about the looks because they're great, except for one thing. All right, around the back of the Altezza. And there you go. That is the trunk. Literally no change from the IS300 counterpart, so nothing cool, unique, or interesting there. But if you've ever wondered what the trunk of an Altezza looks like, there you go. That's it. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and here's the thing. Here's the honest truth, and this is just my opinion. I love the look of the Altezza. I love the look of the IS300. However, there is one glaring downside, and that is the tail lights. I find the tail lights ridiculously ugly, and they started a trend literally called Altezza taillights where people were doing clear lenses. This is ugly. Cut it out. Stop it. I despise these taillights with a passion of 1,000 suns. But besides that, I think it's a well-designed, handsome automobile, and that is what I look for when I want my JDM sports sedan. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Toyota Altezza for the first time? Well, obviously, I really like this. It's a very fun car, and it's a very unique and different car than just the standard IS300. Until today, I just assumed the steering wheel was on the other side. That was the big difference. But no. There's more to that than meets the eye. Optimus Prime 2007. When you change the transmission and when you change the engine, you do make this car a very different animal. No longer is it this long haul, straight highway cruiser like the IS300 is pretty good at doing. It's not this high horsepower vehicle. The Japanese culture is very focused on yin and yang, balance of everything. That's what this car is more about. It's very balanced. I don't feel like it's going to be too nose heavy and tip one way. I don't feel like the power comes on at any weird zippy moment. Sure, it comes up higher in the revs, but it doesn't shock you. It doesn't scare you. Everything is smooth, calm, and collected in this vehicle. And that offers the ability to focus on other things like driver talent, like figuring out the road. When you're not worried, oh, is this turbo going to start spooling and throw me off the road and kill me? No, because this car is very predictable and because it's very balanced, you get to focus on things, like I said, like the road and your driving technique. The most balanced of cars you don't really have to think about, and that's their glory. This car is like a 2x4 on a lathe, and it has been poked and prodded and stuck and shaved to a perfectly cylindrical log. That's how this car feels. It feels like it's been worked, smoothed, and massaged to be a solid final product. Not for us Americans. They didn't care about that. They weren't trying to please us. They wanted to make something that they were proud of, a sports sedan for Japan. And that's exactly what they did. It is very different than the IS300, but not necessarily in a bad way, and not necessarily in an overly great way, just a different way. And that's what I love about cars. They still teach me about the world abroad. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nomad Imports here in Flint, Michigan for letting me borrow their Altezza for today's video. I have been wanting to drive one of these for so long. They were able to make it happen, and I'm very, very appreciative. If you are looking to import a car or want to purchase an imported car, please check out Nomad Imports. They are the best in the business. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.